So let's turn then to the China part of the story. So your book makes one factual observation that I think is very important for Americans to get. It will not be news to many of the people in this room, but we'll talk about it. And then it also makes a claim. So the factual observation is that China is no longer a copycat economy.
Right.
It is no longer a country that grows its technology sector by looking at the rest of the world and then doing kind of pale knockoff versions for China. The claim is that what China has become is a place uniquely well positioned to be able to lead in at least 3 of the 4 areas of AI, and generally to drive the world forward from the perspective of AI. And so let's talk about those 2 things in sequence. So first of all, China's internet sector is, you refer to it as kind of like a unique ecosystem, a distinct ecosystem, different from the United States, and no longer driven by copycat innovation. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it's like there?
Yeah, sure. I think the stigmatism about copycatting is causing Americans to not see that you can begin a copycat and become an innovator. Just because in the US that never happens, it doesn't mean it can't happen. After all, when we learn music and art, don't we start by copycatting? And then with more practice, we come up with our own ideas. That's what happened in China. 10, 15 years ago, there were absolute copycats. There was the Google of China, Amazon of China, and so on. But as the market rapidly expanded, and then massive capital flowed into China because everyone saw in this very fast market where mobile usage was increasing, it's a great place for investment. And in fact, the VC funds like ours have produced outsized returns. So with massive amount of money feeding into entrepreneurs who used to be copycats, imagine what happens, right? You have maybe, let's say you have another great idea, let's say Groupon. This happened about 8 years ago. And a bunch of Chinese entrepreneurs said, well, let's do a Chinese Groupon. And then, but we've learned a lot. We can innovate new ideas and make it better on top of Groupon. So in order for you to succeed, you are in a class of 5,000 Groupon copycats. So that's what happened 8 years ago. And there's really only one way to win, and that is to make your version of Groupon uncopyable. And from that evolved China's formula for innovation, entrepreneurship, and value creation. So how does that work? I'll give you an example. The American Groupon, now worth a couple of $1 billion in market cap, maybe a lot less in enterprise value, but the Chinese version of Groupon is now $55 billion IPO. And what happened? It's not just how large the market is, it's what the entrepreneur has chosen to do. When you're surrounded in an environment of tenacious entrepreneurs who are not afraid to copy, you must build a very high wall that no one can climb over. So Meituan CEO Wang Xing managed to basically change the way Chinese people eat. So it's a lot more daring than a Yelp or a Groupon. Those nicely added to the way we eat. But Wang Xing, the Meituan CEO, decided he would change the way Chinese people eat. He wants people to do food delivery, food ordering from home, and instead of cooking or going out. So he found out what it would take to do that. If you could deliver to, let's say, 500 million of the 800 million Chinese internet users within 30 minutes from the time of order, including cooking, the hot food to the home, and that delivery cost no more than 70 cents, then he could break even. So that's what he was faced up against. Most entrepreneurs say that's crazy. 70 cents, even with Chinese salaries and urban density, how do you do it? Well, how did he do it? He just chipped away at it over 5 years. Every month chipped away 1 or 2 cents, 3 or 5 cents, eventually got to the 70 cents. And the way he ended up was he had to manage an army of 600,000 electrical moped riders. And he had to, because they're cheap, well, 70 cents per delivery. So the salaries have to be low, yet the service has to be good. So how do you train these people? And then also the mopeds run out of battery. How do you replace the battery? And then there's routing algorithm and AI, of course. So building this kind, and also you're burning VC money, right? All of this stuff is burning VC money. When I told you earlier about the loan app of the million applicants and the 100,000 defaulted on the loan, so how do you get that data? VC giving them the money, and then it gets lost. And then you get training data. Then for the next million, you don't lose so much. So that's what Wangxing did. He raised several $billion to perfect this system. And eventually, he built the best, amazing, Uber-like delivery network for food to the home. And he shaved it down to 70 cents after years and years of trying. What was the downside and risk if he hadn't succeeded? Suppose he could only get down to $1.70, $1.70 per order. Well, he has 25 million orders a day, so he'd be losing $25 million a day had he not done that. So this is the Chinese entrepreneurism. It is the tenacity, the work ethic, the competitiveness, the winner take all, and do whatever it takes to erect such a high wall that your product becomes uncopyable. Now, you could say that's not innovative, but actually, if I offer the service to you, you take it, right? You'd say, wow, that's amazing. I never realized I could get the service. So it is an innovative product at the end, but it wasn't derived by a light bulb going off. It was derived by incredible hard work, risk-taking, tenacity as a